Hello, welcome back to the Yay for Business podcast. It's me, Courtney Shaw, and I'm going to be giving you today a sort of deep dive into what I see as the state of content marketing in 2026 and the really big shifts that I think have been happening that make so much sense in retrospect. And this has really led to a change over time and very clearly locking in now of what I recommend that service providers do, or anyone who is building a business online based on their expertise does in 2026 that is different from what I would have recommended in the past. It's gonna feel potentially a little bit advanced. I'm gonna try to make this really accessible because at the end of the day, this has to be accessible to business owners who are experts at something else and are not, you might be a marketer, you might be think of yourself as a business owner because you are a business owner. But at the end of the day, I don't want this to be so over anyone's heads or beyond or anything that you don't take action, because I think that's the ultimate lesson here, is that there's, to me, a clear opportunity right now. I think there's always an opportunity sort of wave that's happening. And I think that wave has shifted, that is very different from what the data is saying, from what I've seen that service providers like you are doing online or think you should be doing. And I don't think that people are telling you this. I don't see anyone talking about this in the way that I teach. I feel like when I talk to people about it, they go, yeah, that makes sense. Or that's but I don't see anyone really tackling this topic this way. So this big shift is going to matter a lot. And I am going to be doing a workshop on this in February. This is going to be my new workshop. I don't have the details for that quite yet. I will share them with you probably next week. But keep your eyes out for that, because I think this is going to be one of my, I just feel like every workshop gets better than the previous one, but I think this is going to be the best one yet. I'm really going to be diving into the system of creating what I call your forever content, and what we need to do to start that, to make it minimally viable, to create a consistent system around it once and for all, and to get you off of the content hamster wheel. We're done with that in 2026. Content hamster wheel is out. Forever content is in. And this is what I mean by that. Okay, so the biggest shift I see happening is that in previous years, it used to be that there were all these different platforms that kind of felt like silos. Like you have your Twitter, and I've been around long enough where Twitter was not evil and owned by Elon Musk and was actually relevant, right? You've got your Twitter, you've got your Facebook groups, you've got your YouTube, you've got and it's pick which one you want to do and go all in on that for at least 90 days, 6 months, and get traction, build your audience, and focus on one thing. That has been the advice that most people I know have been giving for a long time, and a lot of people are still giving. Most people are still giving, and that I have been giving for many, many years, until last year is probably when this really switched over for me. And I don't think that's the case anymore. My recommendation for someone at this point would not be pick one social media platform or SEO platform, Pinterest, whatever, and dominate it. That would not be my recommendation anymore. I think that is going to be very difficult. I think it's gonna be very difficult on any one platform, with maybe one exception, and it's the most difficult one, to really get the kind of results you're looking for, short-term and long-term. I think that there's a much better bet out there for people, and I think that's changed because I think that all these platforms have become so saturated. So you have Instagram, incredibly saturated for most niches. Let me just list some of the marketing opportunities that are out there, right? You've got your Instagram, your YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and even on Instagram, there's 7 different ways to use Instagram, 7 different parts of Instagram. You've got SEO, you've got podcasts, you've got Pinterest, you've got, what am I forgetting? There's so many things out there, so many ways to do marketing online. And all of these things have become like weirdly connected and also very saturated. Like you've got Facebook that's owned by Meta and owns Instagram now. You've got Google and YouTube. Like you've got a lot of this merging of these social media platforms, and also it becoming increasingly difficult on any individual platform to really get traction and depend on it as like your sole thing that is going to help you grow your audience for your business. And so what I'm teaching moving forward is it's not go on one platform. It's not go on every platform. It is that you need to design an ecosystem of what I call forever content that is going to optimize your chances of getting found by the right people at the right time. And that this forever content is going to sort of become a like a self-referring web where people are going to be able to fall down the rabbit hole of your world, of your staking your real estate on the internet really fast and really easily. And an example of how this happened for me last year is I have a client right now who found me. I guested on a podcast. She heard me on this podcast, and the same day she came and did the call to action that I gave on the podcast, which was for an opt-in, and she got the opt-in. The opt-in was very well strategized and positioned to encourage her to purchase a low ticket offer. She purchased, and then she upgraded into Yay for Clients. And then she saw that I had my higher ticket program, which was called something else last year, but is now the 6-figure sprint. And she then applied to work with me in the 6-figure sprint all in like one day after finding me. Like, this is the level that I want you to have for forever content. Like, I want people to be able to find you and fall down the rabbit hole and get nurtured really, really fast. Some people are gonna buy faster than others just by like where they're at psychologically, what kind of people they are, how they make decisions, etc. But we want to give them the opportunity to be nurtured as fast as possible without us hustling all the time and creating content all the time. Okay, so we're going to talk about building your forever content with the right set of platforms really intentionally so that you can not just create 5 to 7 Instagram reels a week and pray, but you can use platforms very intentionally, connect them together in this, web, in this ecosystem, and then use social media platforms like Instagram to amplify your forever content, but not rely on them so much when they're inherently unreliable. They have shown us that reach is going down so much. I think the data that I saw recently was across industries. The average views you'll get on any given Instagram post across industries, right? So it might be higher for smaller audiences, this might be higher for different industries, is 3.5% of your followers will see your posts. That's nothing. That is unbelievably low. And the fact of the matter is, you don't own those followers. You have no way of getting in front of those people just because they tapped follow for you. And because we have been relying so much on these platforms, we now have not hedged our bets and don't have anywhere that we've been building that's going to have compound interest of traffic to get traffic more and more every single week, every single day, every single month, every single year. And the Instagram post that you posted last week is no longer relevant and no longer getting views, unless it's in a pin post or something like that, right? And even then, it's a very low quantity. So while these are all tools, there's like so many platforms and so many ways that we can, like, things that we can use to build our audience online. We have got to now get very intentional about reverse engineering the exact ecosystem and the exact psychological journey that we want people to go on, from finding us to getting really nurtured by our content to purchasing from us. And it's not dominate a platform and hope and pray after 90 days that you've built an audience. It's just not the way to go anymore. It's not what I would recommend. Okay, so I want to talk about this concept of forever content versus decaying content that has a short lifespan versus a long lifespan. Because this is the inherent math and difference between something like Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, even like social media, versus an SEO based platform like your blog, like YouTube, like even you do have like some SEO on Instagram and podcasts and things like that, but that's not primarily, people are not like referring back to Instagram content from like a year ago from SEO, right? Like, I'm not saying it's not effective. And if you're using Instagram, yes, SEO matters now. But it's not like the content that you're referring to for years and years. And then also becoming a preferred source for AI. AI has changed the game for SEO, because what's happened is the data point that I saw is that it used to be that for the average search query, that 15% of people would click on a resource from that. So you search something and then you click on an article. And that is down now to 8% because you have these AI summaries happening at the top of posts. It's also changed what is doing well in SEO, which used to be lots of how-to content where it was like just getting information. But because of AI, people are no longer using Google search as much to get information, for better or worse, right? Like, I'm not here telling you what I think of that. That's not really what I think matters, what I think of it. I'm trying to tell you it's happening and here's what to do with it, is that search intent matters so much. So someone might not be coming to you to figure out, if you're a photographer, like how to edit, maybe because a video would be great for that, but like, exactly how to, like specs for a specific camera, but they are going to come to you as maybe a photography teacher to watch a video on how you take certain shots or what your perspective is on that. And so it's very important that you understand what people's search intent is like and what they're looking for, because that has changed as well. So even SEO, I'm going to recommend forever content, leveraging SEO, but that has also changed. So it's not the same SEO that it was before. That game has changed. AI is making things a lot different. But when I talk about the long lifespan versus the short lifespan, what I'm talking about is like the idea of the half-life of a piece of content. So I want to give you an example. If I post a reel on Instagram, I might get 500 to 1,000 views. And I'm talking about me, right? I'm talking about my average kind of view, okay? And that's great. Now, a view on Instagram is qualified a certain way versus like a view on YouTube. So let's say I post a YouTube video and immediately I might get 100 views on that video. But here's what's going to happen is that if I have crafted that video to work with search intent, to show up in searches for certain search intents, meaning like this is what the person searching was trying to find, then my video over time is going to get more and more and more views. If you go to anyone's YouTube channel, if you go to look at their videos and look and search based on most popular videos, their most popular videos are going to usually be years old, because videos are gaining more and more traffic over time. I get a ton of traffic to my website from videos I posted 2+, 5+ years ago. This is also true with blog posts that don't have videos on them, where I'm still getting views. My top SEO trafficked pages on my website are articles I wrote like 10 years ago that are frankly like not that relevant to what I'm doing now. But that just goes to show that SEO is going to increase volume over time. Not everything you create is going to get that kind of traffic over time, but certain things are, and you created it once and it's paying off for years and decades. Whereas what happened to that Instagram post you posted last week? This is to me the equivalent of the fact that the human brain just cannot comprehend the difference between a million and a billion. Like, the difference between me spending an hour creating a piece of content that goes away in a week versus gets more and more traffic over 10 years is almost impossible for our human brain to comprehend. And yet you're all going for millions when you could be going for billions. And it just doesn't make sense, except it does with the fact that Instagram has literally been crafted to hijack our psychology. So they want us on that platform, posting on that platform, believing that our greatest opportunity in our business is to be on Instagram, when it is factually, mathematically not the case that it makes the most sense for most business owners and especially service providers to be using Instagram as their main source of traffic. Even if you grew your audience, I'm going to tell you, if you grew an audience of, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands even of people more than a year ago, I bet you're struggling now with the strategies you used to build that audience. I bet that's become a lot harder. I bet you've noticed that your views and reach are way down than what they used to be. And everyone online can tell you it's possible to grow an audience on Instagram. And I agree, it is possible to grow an audience on Instagram. But the likelihood of becoming one of the unicorns that is getting a lot of traction, where it's a winner takes most game, where if you are doing well, you're going to keep getting rewarded, even if your content is the same quality as someone else, is not worth it mathematically to put all your eggs in that basket. I frankly love Instagram. I don't even know that I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. I just don't have that many emotions about Instagram. I love Instagram as a platform. I spend a lot of time there, but I am certainly not going to be putting all of my organic eggs into that basket. I'm going to be using Instagram to amplify my message, to build relationship with people, to get in front of new people sometimes, but I'm not going to be like, my core strategy is Instagram. And every time I see one of my clients talking to me about like their time puzzle and their strategies they're using, and they're like, okay, I'm going to create Instagram content. I just was talking to someone today about this on one of our calls in the 6-figure sprint, and she had Instagram content on her time puzzle, and she's spending way too much time on marketing. And I was like, well, what are you doing with Instagram? She goes, well, nothing, but I feel like I should be doing it. And I'm like, no, like there's no reason you just need to be on Instagram for the sake of it. I think because Instagram is visible and you can actually see people there, and it creates this popularity effect. Again, I don't even think that's positive or negative. It just is. It gives you a lot of cred if you've got a following there. I've seen what people do when they see someone has tens, hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. I've seen the way people's brains instantly go, that person's legit. That's absolutely true. That does not thus mean it is the platform that makes the most sense for you to be spending your time and energy on to grow your business, to make sales. It's also true that a shit ton of people who have large audiences, I'm talking 10K plus on Instagram, are not making any kind of real money, and that plenty of people I know who have less than 10,000 followers have million or multi-million dollar businesses. We have got to once and for all, that discrepancy has always been there, and it is just becoming more and more of a thing, because the content that gets rewarded on Instagram is usually entertainment value content. It is not the kind of high intent content that is going to lead to sales. And so the content you're going to use to get visibility, this has been true for years, and it's just becoming more and more true every single year. That content is not going to be as close psychologically to sales content, which means you've got to do a ton more nurturing to take that one person who viewed a reel of yours for 3 seconds and turn that into a sale, versus creating some really powerful forever content. Now, I'm probably going to get to forever content in the next blog post. I just want you to understand in this or blog post or podcast episode, same thing these days. It's part of my forever content. This is part of my forever content machine. Is I totally lost my train of thought there. Anyway, I'm using my my blog post, my podcast, all of that to that's where I'm putting all of my my investments, to my compound interest, and Instagram is just not going to be it for me anymore. And after I sort of, I spent about 3 months really going all in on Instagram last year, and I learned so much. And what I really learned is that the level of psychological work you have to do to craft an Instagram reel that is going to attract the right people to you, get views, and actually get seen by anyone is so immense. And it used to be if you just created stuff and put it out there, you would get traction. Those days are done. And people who built their followings 2 years ago, they're not building their followings doing that same content anymore. And they have not updated their strategies or what they're telling you. And you're going, why isn't this working for me? It worked for them. Because what they did was a year, 2 years ago, and the platform has changed so immensely since then. I'm not saying they're liars. I just don't think that they quite understand what it's like for people right now, because they built their audience longer ago. And I'm also not saying it's not possible. Make sure you're not putting words in my mouth. I'm saying that it is not mathematically making sense for Instagram to be the place where you are growing your audience anymore. I just don't think that's true for most niches. All right, let's talk about my current philosophy. And my current philosophy is about forever content. And it's about knowing what your options are and creating roles for certain platforms and not playing favorites. It's about creating an ecosystem that is creating a machine that is attracting and nurturing leads for you, not spending all this time on a content hamster wheel, constantly having to shift gears and create content and pay attention to trends and all this stuff, okay? So while social media, and I'm specifically talking Instagram because this is the one that comes up the most, but I also mean like LinkedIn and like other platforms that are like the social short form content in nature. It's great for quick relationships, DMs, conversations, stories, building relationship, like letting people get to know you, all of that. It can help to get quick wins sometimes if you need sales right now and you've got followers on Instagram and you want to like do a promo, get some quick feedback from your audience. You're like trying to like quickly hammer something out and you want to like have interaction with people. Instagram could be a great place for you if you already have an audience there. But otherwise, I think it's a flash in the pan. And I think your energy is better spent creating forever content as the engine of your marketing machine. So forever content is building authority and it's compounding visibility and authority over time. You create it once and it's getting more and more. It's not going to be an immediate instant gratification of a bunch of likes and comments. You don't get that with a blog post. You don't get that with a podcast. You can look at your analytics of your blog post and your podcast and see how many visits you had. It's not the same psychologically. It does not give you the same dopamine hit as having a reel pop off and get a bunch of likes. Like I posted this reel yesterday from going, figure skating for the first time in years. And my brain was so hijacked, just keep refreshing to see if anyone else commented on my reel. I was like, oh my God, I'm caught in this loop. I can't stop. And yet I don't get that same instant, like, oh my God, look at this. This is so exciting from posting a podcast or a blog post. And yet, mathematically, those are the things making me sales over time. To me, this is the same as in financial investments, people who are essentially gambling by, playing the stock market game and trying to like sell individual stocks versus investing in index funds and building that compound interest over time. There's so many ways this analogy makes sense. It also makes sense in the fact that like compound interest time matters. So the longer you wait to do this, the less impact it's going to have. If you invest in creating this content now in a minimally viable way, which I will talk about more in upcoming episodes and in my next, monthly workshop on this, which again will be like free if you attend live and paid afterwards. And then it will be in my shop forevermore, is that like, now I've lost my train of thought again, which is like unbelievable for me to do twice in one podcast episode. If you don't take advantage of that compound interest, like you just lose out on that over time. Whereas like it might be really satisfying to sell a stock today and make some money versus sitting on it for 10 years and making more money. But mathematically, one makes sense over the other. And what they tell you with investments is like, you need to do it automatically where you stop checking it. You stop looking for this psychological dopamine. Don't look at the stock market every day. Stop checking things every day. And that is essentially what's happening to us with social media. And I just don't feel like people are talking about the problems with social media, but I don't feel like they're talking about it in this way enough in terms of actually getting results in your business, not just like it hijacking, teenagers' brains and it being like, oh, I need to take a break. It's like, it's also just not the best return on your investment anymore. To make sales. And I'm sorry to all the people who like have put their eggs in that basket, and we've all done it, right? Like things change. That's part of business, is being able to be agile and pivot. But that's what it is. So here's what I want you to understand is like your main things, let me talk about your sales conversion engines first. Okay. Your sales conversion engines, the things that I think are the best opportunities for you to be creating content and making sales are podcasts and email marketing. And I'm going to talk to you in future episodes about how these things go together. Podcasts are high nurture. If someone is listening to your podcast episode, I think that is higher nurture than them watching a YouTube video, even though the media is like less similar to being in the room with you. With a video, they can see you, right? With a podcast, they're listening to you. But I think it is more like talking on the phone with someone and listening to them, and podcasts tend to be way longer than videos, and which is why like they, don't necessarily always do as well in video format, but I still think that's the best route to go. I digress. I will get to that. Your podcast is going to be a great way for you to reverse engineer content that is going to sell. And I had somebody join the 6-figure sprint last month who told me, she's like, I love your podcast because it's not salesy. And I laughed so hard because every single podcast episode I do is engineered to sell. It is absolutely reverse engineered to get people to take an action that is leading to a sale, including this one, right? I'm warming you up on this topic, doing the state of content marketing in 2026, that is warming up this topic of content marketing, that is going to introduce this concept of forever content, helping you to see the point of view I'm trying to make, to dismantle the arguments and the mistakes and the myths and the misconceptions that you're thinking right now about social media that I know are there, to lay the groundwork for me to tell you that I have a new way of doing it that's going to work better. I'm going to do a workshop where I show you that way of doing it. That will also become a paid workshop for me in my business. But more importantly, that workshop then will also show you why having your client booking machine and then ideally coming to work with me in the 6-figure sprint is going to make the most sense for you to hit your goals. And so I'm like, every single thing I'm doing in this episode and every single piece of content I make is always reverse engineered from the sale, and we work backwards. We're not just creating short form content. That's the last thing I'm going to create. I'm always going to start with the sale and work backwards. So podcasts and email marketing are your best bets there. Do you have to do both of those? Absolutely not. But there's pros to doing it and there's cons to not doing it. And I would say if you have to pick one, I would say email marketing, because I think you have to, if you're going to do a podcast, you have to do email marketing. I don't think it's smart to just do a podcast without email marketing. And again, in the Forever Content workshop, I'll explain like how these things fit together, because it's not about having all these different platforms. It's about having one type of content that is now going on all the platforms in one ecosystem, not you creating all different content for different, we're streamlining it so much. Okay. So podcasts build deep trust. They shorten the time to sale. All my sales come from my podcast, by the way. Like I refer people, I overcome objections to my podcast. And then when people are in my sales pipeline, I send them to, hey, have you listened to this podcast episode? And I let the podcast do the selling for me, right? It works so well. And this is what I mean by this ecosystem that is like, it's like a self-referring system that is doing the work for me, where I only have to create it one time. Okay. Now, the real goal here, the idea is creating one piece of forever content, ideally a podcast episode, that then gets repurposed into multiple different things. So the way that I think about this is, if you have a podcast episode that you film, hello, that's what I'm doing right now. You film and you then upload onto YouTube, not just throwing it on YouTube. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have a system for this, but you upload that onto YouTube and you optimize your SEO for YouTube. By the way, it takes me maybe 10 minutes longer than it would to not do that. Then you now are going to benefit from that investment. So you've now invested in that YouTube account. I'm not saying it's going to be your highest possible performing YouTube videos ever. I'm not saying you have to create content for YouTube and do all this editing. I'm not saying that. If you want to do that, that is an opportunity that is there for you. But you can be on YouTube using video repurposed that is of your podcast episode, like I'm doing right now. And you put that on your YouTube channel, and now you're benefiting from that. Now you repurpose that content, use the transcript of that in your blog post, and now you're getting SEO from that blog post. Now, everyone who goes to your blog post is going to have the links to listen to your podcast on, their podcast apps. That gives you more listens of your podcast. They could read your blog post. That's going to give you more views on your website of that, increasing your SEO and traffic. And also, anyone who plays the video from YouTube that is now embedded on that blog post is going to be counted as a view on your YouTube channel. Okay. Now on your YouTube channel, the description is then going to refer people back to your website and your calls to action. And now this is all going to lead people into your sales pipeline for your signature service and for your work. So it does get a little bit quote unquote advanced, but it's actually not really, because I'm not talking about being the best YouTuber ever or the best podcaster ever. I'm talking about creating this one piece of forever content that, yes, is reverse engineered to be topics and structures that are leading people to a sale. That does matter. But then using that one-time recording, repurposing that on those platforms to benefit from the long-term compound interest of that sale. And then you can use clips from that or come up with Instagram short form content ideas from the topic that you talked about to then amplify on social media if you'd like to do that. Okay, so our goal is one piece of weekly forever content, not 47 different pieces of content. And we want to do it one time, have a really clear workflow to get it done. Okay, here's what I'm going to leave you with. This analogy of laying bricks to build, a wall, all right? Let's say your goal is to build a wall. Well, when you're posting on Instagram, you're essentially, instead of putting a brick down that's going to stay there over time and last for years, hundreds of years, you are shooting off a confetti cannon. It's a lot more satisfying in the moment. It's more fun, more people pay attention to it, etc. But it just disappears. The confetti falls to the ground, it blows away in the wind. That is what Instagram is. That's what social media is. I'm not saying it's bad. It serves the purpose it serves. And a lot of people build their audiences this way, but also they struggle when the algorithm changes and to get their audience off of the platform and into their sales pipeline. What I'm saying is instead, let's lay bricks. And when we've got time, we can shoot off some confetti. Great, awesome, no problem. But if you laid, let's say you took a month off of producing forever content in the next 12 months. So that's 48 pieces of forever content. And that every week you laid a brick and at the end of the year, you had 48 bricks. Now you've actually started building something. Where did all that confetti go? It's gone. It's gone. We can't see it anymore. You have to keep doing the work. But those 48 bricks that you built are going to be there forever. Now, what's actually not coming across in this metaphor, this analogy, is that actually those bricks will gain traction over time. They will get better over time. And so it will actually improve. So I'm not really sure how to improve my analogy to make that come across, but there you have it. Obviously, there's so much more to this strategy of like creating forever content. And I want to get into that more in the next few episodes. I'm going to talk more about like the actual system and process and what to put in your forever content and your content topics. But keep in mind, I'm going to be sharing that full system, the full method for forever content at the workshop. I think this is going to be my best workshop I've done yet. And remember, if you end up coming live, and it'll be in February, if you come live, then you get to come for free. And after that, it's going to be a paid workshop in my shop, and you are more than welcome to purchase it there, and it is going to be more than worth it. I always aim to make sure that my workshops are worth 10 times the price that I'm charging for them. So keep your eyes out for that forever content workshop. That's where you're going to learn how to create content that is going to sell and build traction and views over time, to invest in your business as an asset instead of staying on that content hamster wheel. So I look forward to sharing more with you on this topic of forever content. Thank you for sitting here and listening to or watching my forever content. Make sure that you come on over to my blog post and make sure that you subscribe to the podcast, and make sure that you go to the YouTube video if you haven't yet and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Come follow me on Instagram, all those places. I'm going to be sharing way more about this. Probably have some freebies for you as well. I think I'm going to create a freebie on my epic content matrix, bring an oldie back, because this is how I brainstorm endless content ideas, strategic content ideas, and it'll be so useful for you to use going into this workshop. So if there's not a link for that below the video or the podcast, then just keep your eyes out. I'm going to be sharing that soon, and I will see you in the next episode.